Alright, so I'm back, and today we're doing another rant of the week. And this week, it's kind of a continuation of last week's, the Share the Love video that I did. That was geared towards third-party figures more than anything else. Because they're making so many things that we don't need, or we don't need like umpteen hundred Bumblebees from Hasbro and Masterpiece and third-party figures. Really, it's insane. And I know Bumblebee's popular for the general population, but third-party collectors are not general population. We want something rare. That's why we spend that extra money, is so that we can have something that Hasbro isn't making. So anyway, so today I'm talking about Share the Love for the Masterpiece figures in general. So this one's geared more towards the Masterpiece, Tarka, Tommy, and Hasbro. I'll probably just refer to them as Hasbro because that's easier to say. And I don't understand why they're doing the things they're doing. They're making great Masterpiece figures. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love Prowl. He's probably one of my favorite Autobots I have on my shelf. Masterpiece Prowl is just an amazing figure. Highly recommend him. I do want to get the Sideswipe. So again, if anybody's got a Masterpiece Sideswipe they don't want, and they're looking at some Fans Project figures, let me know. We can probably make a deal. Anyway, it's the Decepticons. Where are they? I think, for the most part, just repainting a figure in a Masterpiece line, that's great. We're getting more characters, but we're not getting Decepticons. We haven't gotten that many Decepticons. I'm going to exclude the cassettes from this entire conversation because they're small, they're awesome, but they're small and they go with Soundwave. That for me, that counts as one figure, even though you have to buy the Soundwave and then you had to buy all the cassettes separate. I count that as one Masterpiece figure, not two different Masterpiece figures for two cassettes each. It's kind of cheap to count those as new Masterpiece figures. I fail. But so we get MP1, which was Optimus Prime. Awesome, great figure from what I heard. I never had him. Never really was interested in getting him. He was way too big. And that's awesome. And then we get the umpteen billion repaints of him. Seriously, there was the Tarka version, Hasbro version. There was the Hasbro version had smaller pipes and some battle damage, I believe. Then there was the black version, Ultra Magnus, and then there was like the grayed out version where he was dying, and then there was I think there was the Last Chance Optimus, which was just a repaint of Optimus Prime. So we got all those Optimus Primes, then MP10 comes along, and we get another Masterpiece Optimus Prime that's in the new Masterpiece scale, and so he's replacing the original Optimus Prime, which completely makes all the old Optimus Primes obsolete. And now we have the same thing again. We're getting all these different repaints. We got the Tarka version, the Hasbro version. I know there's a black one, and the Year of the Horse. I'm pretty sure that they're saying that the Ultra Magnus is going to be a repaint with him with a different trailer. So there's 5 as of now. There's probably going to be more. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the dying Optimus Prime, so we can relive our childhood memories of the death of a hero. I read that somewhere, and it stuck with me. I thought it was hilarious. Okay. And then we also got Starscream when the Masterpiece was first coming out. And that was great. And that, of course, that got repainted into a couple different Starscreams, I believe. And then Skywarp and Thundercracker. Skywarp, which came to the U.S., Thundercracker, which didn't. And, of course, that turned into the whole everyone wants Thundercracker and everyone's spending tons of money. And then they reissued the Starscream Coronation Kit with the Coronation Kit. And he's... they fixed a lot of the errors that needed to be fixed on him. It looks a lot better, and I actually wouldn't mind having one of those. And of course, they do the exact same thing, only in reverse with that. So, yeah, we get this Starscream, then we get Sunstorm, and then we get Thundercracker with the fixes, and then we get Acid Storm. But we didn't get Skywarp with the fixes, so now everyone's trying to track down the old Skywarp figure, who doesn't have the fixes and doesn't quite look right when standing with the other Seekers. So, again, we got a plethora of repaints, but essentially it's just one mold and then a slight retool, or a heavy retool, and then more of the same repaints of the same figure. So, yeah. And then we get Megatron. Oh yeah, we had great Masterpiece Megatron, and then when it came out, and everyone's like, I mean, apparently, and I've watched a lot of reviews on him, and apparently he's way overcomplicated, and he's very fragile. Almost everyone broke him at one point or another, and had to get replacement parts or replacement figure, and that's what we had for Megatron. Then and he scaled well with MP1. But now that there's MP10, Megatron is no longer in scale with the other Masterpiece figures. So now he's obsolete, and if you buy him, he's gonna stick out in a Masterpiece collection like a sore thumb. And again, I don't really collect Masterpiece figures. My rant is the fact that I will never get into it because there are no Decepticons, and there are not enough Decepticons, and they're really expensive, which is fine, but bah. It irritates me. But anyway, let's see. So we get Grimlock, who wasn't in the first wave of Masterpiece size scale because he was too small. I mean, he was way too small he was dwarfed by Optimus. And then even in the new Masterpiece scale, he's too small, but close enough, I guess. Whatever. And he's gotten reissued a number of times, different repaints and flames, and he's even coming back to Toys R Us. So if you guys missed out on him and you don't want to spend the insane amount on eBay, just wait for him to come out at Toys R Us. You can pick him up for like $60. I think mine was like $60, $70, something like that. Great price. And we also got Hot Rod, and of course there's the Decepticon repaint of Hot Rod. I mean, seriously, stop with the needless black repaints. I mean, so let's see, there's that, and of course he got released in Toys R Us without the trailer. And that's great. I love me some Hot Rod. He's a great character. I really enjoy him. The figure was insanely complicated and fragile as well. Let's see, what else did we get? I think that was it for the first 9 figures. There's Grimlock, Megatron, Starscream, and all them, and Optimus. But and then after they did M10 and they're redoing the size scale, which is great. Now that they have like a plan for the size scale, and we get Sideswipe. And of course, with Sideswipe comes Red Alert and G2 Sideswipe, and that's great. Another needless black repaint, but apparently a lot of people really like him, so I won't complain because it actually fits into a character that was there. And you know, that's great. Still waiting for the official breakdown repaint of Masterpiece Sideswipe. I would probably pick that up. But anyway, so that, and like I said, that's great and awesome and all. But there's two more G1 Autobots. Oh, and Tiger Tracks. So that's 3 G1 Autobots there. Then we get Soundwave, and nobody's complained about Soundwave, and that's great. You know, he looks great. And then comes Prowl, and of course all the other cars with Prowl. Let's see, and I think that's it really. But so and then of course reissue of Grimlock. So let's do some math here. For Autobots we got in the current size scale, we've got Optimus Prime, we got Rodimus Prime, we've got and without counting all the pointless all the repaints, we're talking just molds. So we got Optimus, we got Rodimus, we got Grimlock, we got Prowl, we got Sideswipe. Okay, so there's 5 molds right now that are out in the market right now that you can pick up. Okay. Decepticons. We've got Soundwave and the Seeker mold. That's it. That's all we got. So, and of course, we get to pointless black repaint of Soundwave and umpteen billion repaints of the Seeker mold. Okay. Now let's throw the new repaints into the mix as well. So, and I'm not counting Sound Blaster because he's technically the same character as Soundwave. Just later on, he got repainted and rebuilt into Sound Blaster, so he's still just the one character. So then we get Starscream, Thundercracker, Acid Storm, and Sunstorm. I'm not counting Skywarp because he's in the old mold, and therefore he's not now obsolete. So that's 5 Decepticons. Now with the Masterpiece figures, or the Autobots, we got Optimus Prime. And I'm not counting Nemesis Prime in this either. But we got Optimus Prime, we got Sideswipe, we got Tiger Tracks, Red Alert. You know, I'm not going to count Tiger Tracks. Count Red Alert though. Then we get Prowl, Blue Streak, and Smokescreen, Grimlock. I'm missing one. Oh, so Optimus, Rodimus, Grimlock, Sideswipe, Red Alert, Prowl, Smokescreen, and Blue Streak. So 8 individual characters from G1 for the Autobots. 5 of which are different molds. We have 5 Decepticons, 2 of which are different molds. I know that doesn't sound like a big difference, but it is to me. Clearly, it's showing like 1 out of every 3 figures is going to be Decepticon, which is not good for Decepticon collectors. And then we get some third-party companies going with the Masterpiece figures, and that's great. That's awesome. I'm not complaining that they're in that field too. iGear does Ironhide and Ratchet, so there's another Autobot. 2 if you want to count the characters, 1 if you want to just count the mold. Great. We get Quakewave, Shockwave from Fans Toys. Great figure. There's 1 more mold for the Decepticons. So 3 molds to 6 Autobots. And then KFC makes an Ultra Magnus. Some other companies making an Ultra Magnus. 2 different companies are making the other 4 Dinobots. So you have choices there. So there's what, 6 more Autobots right there, and that's if you don't buy both sets of the molds of Dinobots. And I think that's it. And let's think about what's coming down the line here. We know next up is Masterpiece Wheeljack. And then we've also seen promo pictures of Masterpiece Bumblebee and Masterpiece Ultra Magnus. No more Decepticons down that road. So, I mean, that's my complaint. I mean, that's my rant. It's just, we're not getting Decepticons in the Masterpiece line. Not like the Autobots are doing. I mean, unless you count all the cassettes. But, I mean, seriously, if you count the cassettes, you know, so every time Autobots get an awesome figure like this, Decepticons get an awesome figure like this, who's, you know, dinky in comparison. So, or just another repainted Starscream. Yeah, iGear, when they did their Seeker molds for the Masterpiece Seekers, first off, they did all the fixes before Hasbro did, which is humorous because then Hasbro did the same fixes on theirs. So I find that pretty humorous that, you know, company steals their idea and then Hasbro steals it back. But and they also retooled them for Coneheads, and again, that's great. But I don't really count those because they're just knockoff retools. That'd be like counting all the CHM Seekers as legitimate Seekers. The third-party company making their own figures one thing, but a third-party company knocking off and retooling somebody else's work, that's different. Just like their Masterpiece Optimus Prime, they downsized it. That's a fine line of just straight up stealing shit. But ultimately, it's like, you know, they're saying that they want to stick with the season 1 cast of G1, and that's great and fine and dandy, but they're making Ultra Magnus, so obviously they're not sticking to that like really, really hard. And I can't remember who won. I think it was like Star Saber or Victory Convoy. I think he won the poll for the next Masterpiece figure. I can't remember. I was really hoping it would be Optimus Primal. that was my vote. Optimus Primal, come on, let's get some Optimus Primals going. Start Masterpiece Beast Wars collection. I'd be on that in a heartbeat. But you know, it's like, okay, where's the official Shockwave? He's an immensely popular character. I don't know why they're not making him. Where are the Insecticons? Where are the Constructicons? Those were all season 1 characters. And Reflector was as well. So, you know, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 if you want to count Reflector as 3 characters. And then plus Constructicons, so that's like 12 or 13 figures that they can do for Decepticons. And yet we're just getting more and more Autobots. And that's not fair. I mean, seriously, their only Decepticon that's going to be released this year for Masterpiece is a black repaint of Soundwave. That's it. That's all we're getting. Oh, and Ratbat. I mean, they need to share the love to the Decepticons. A Masterpiece Galvatron. Come on, Masterpiece Galvatron. And a Masterpiece Megatron that fits in the new scale. I cannot stress that enough. Where is the Masterpiece Megatron that fits in the scale? I'm not going to buy him. He's not something that I want, but I know everybody else does. I can't see why anybody wouldn't want a Masterpiece Megatron. But, yeah, that's my rant. What are your thoughts on this below? That's my question of the day. And, yeah, that's it.